What's up, guys? Welcome back to Young Money Markets podcast. We've got a lot going on. I'm in a hot tub.
It's hot tub
Uh,
sock machine edition, Nick.
dude, yeah, exactly. Um, let me actually text my buddy Greg, see if he can get in here. Um,
People will start coming in once because they'll probably get notified that we're going live.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Um, Ryan, I know that we've got, a number of different topics to get into today, but I know Uh, you're anxious or excited to share some knowledge bombs, man, about what you've got going on with your
Well,
your trading situation. I'm
well,
not sure if you want to start there.
I'm gonna share, but let's hold on a little bit. I see there's some people coming on right now, but let's hold on a little bit. I'm gonna have my top 10 stocks watch list tonight. I also have my crypto, same thing, top 10 alts. So I don't know if you guys want to get into it, but I
Yeah,
was
let's
pretty
get
interested. I was pretty interested in how the week finished, though, guys. I know Josh, you were talking about that when we jumped on, and I think we left everyone Thursday night. It was like everything was
Yep.
red and bloody, and
uh-huh.
we were. I think one of the last things we were asking was like, what does it take? Remember we were talking about does somebody like a Trump type of figure come out, you know, and rally the troops. I don't know what happened, but I guess we went green on Friday, so we're heading in the right direction. It seems
Yeah,
like.
kinda. I mean, like my positions still finished the day red, but rallied from pretty deep, depressions to back to close to break even. But yeah, it boded well. I mean, heading into the weekend, right? We've got time for institutional investors to maybe peruse the market, see what's out there. I think a lot of good companies are honestly on fire sale right now. Um, but the thing that's like shocked me the most, I don't know about you guys, but I'm blown away by the resiliency of Bitcoin. I would have
Yeah,
expected a sell-off. Like
Not
with
surprised.
you're not surprised? Oh my God, I'm so
It's
surprised.
Bitcoin, man. It's the network
Dude,
effects.
that conviction is just like through the
It's
roof.
it's the network effect. More and more people are coming online and like, how do I get in? It's just keeps coming in, and you just saw someone in Shanghai just put, what is it, 40 million on their sheet. Who was that? They actually put more Ethereum than Bitcoin.
I didn't see that.
Did you guys see
Ethereum's on a
that?
tear.
Maybe
Mm-mm.
maybe Eric can look that up for us. But I did not see that.
I saw it floating around on Twitter. There was a Shanghai company that just bought a bunch of Bitcoin and Ethereum. It was I think it was like 20 million of Bitcoin and like 25 million of Ethereum, something like that.
Hmm.
But that's gonna keep happening though. I mean, imagine the FOMO when we really start going parabolic here in the next couple months. It's going to be nuts. There's going to be board meetings happening all over the country where they're going to be asking them, why haven't you guys done anything? That's what's going to be happening here in the next couple months. I mean, think about some of these tech companies that haven't got on board yet for whatever reason, and they got all this cash. Now they're seeing their peers pushing their cash into Bitcoin. What's going to happen if it goes parabolic here? Because I mean, the data shows that it could very easily double in value in the next 3 months, very realistically, if we see a similar pattern that we saw the last two halvings. So that's pretty exciting, guys.
It's super exciting. I gotta say, like, I am just yeah, again, the resiliency during a time where the market has moved from risk on to more risk off, whether that's bonds or, although we haven't seen a lot of buying of bonds, but like, the value equities or just straight up cash. I would have expected there to have been a pretty hard sell off. I mean, even if you just look at like Tesla, right? Tesla, blue chip company at this point, probably the likelihood of bankruptcy is very low. Um, Growth beast, 37%, 35% drop over the last 3 weeks. Now, if you look at Bitcoin, it hasn't sold off even close to that.
Right.
Um, So that's shocking to me. Like that tells me something. I don't know quite what it tells me other than it's just resilient. But maybe it means that we're starting to settle in with like whoever the shareholders are. Maybe that shareholder base is starting to really firm up, and people are just even less willing to just let go of their Bitcoin. Like the supply is firming up. So to me, that's just super bullish, and I'm just trying to understand, kind of what's going on because it's crazy.
Josh, when you hear Nick say that stuff, are you thinking the same thing he is, or because I see it a little bit different. Like I completely expect everything that's happening right now, and like I would be more shocked if we would be seeing the same type of correction with Bitcoin right now that we're seeing the others. How do you feel about this? And it's because of the charts like this where Eric has up right now.
Can you guys see that chart? So that's the chart of comparing all the cycles, all the Bitcoin cycles. We're in the third bull cycle here after the halving, and this, I mean, it's just falling it like as planned.
So
My
Josh, help us
first thinking,
understand this.
this
Like,
this will kind of answer your question. It
you might be a
so the
little lag
You can
there.
kind of see the dates in the upper left hand corner. The first
Okay.
one was in 2012. It's right after the halving, right? That's the light blue. As you can see, it 100x, right? And then the next halving, dark blue, it what's that, about 20x? Because it went
Yeah.
from 1,000 to 20,000. That was the peak. So right now we're at, somewhere in between there. We're only halfway through it, right?
Right. Yeah,
To the
and
peak,
we're
that
about,
is. So
yeah, right.
I when I first when I was first, this was months. This was last year when I was first thinking like, yo, is it really going to repeat after um, the last two halvings? Are we going to see a similar kind of pattern, or are we going to see something significantly less growth or significantly more? And back then, I would have told you significantly less because as market cap grows, there's going to be less of an effect with newcomers coming in. But today, I actually think the opposite. I think this could actually get
Right.
as high or higher than that first one because we have a new um, level of money coming in. We didn't have institutions back then. It was just the little guys. This is regular Joes,
Right.
and I think it's going to happen again.
Yeah, I think so too. And I'm listening, like I listen to a sports podcast
What
every
do you guys
day.
think?
I, and I'm listening to a sports podcast like every day, and they're even talking about Bitcoin right now. Like
Wow.
this is something that you know everyone, it's becoming like, to me, the cool thing about Bitcoin is it's already won. like it doesn't have to do a single thing more, and it's fully completed what it was set out to do, and there's no going back. But at this point it has such a brand awareness, and because people saw it in 2017, basically the whole world saw it in 2017, and now they're seeing it happen again. It's building so much credibility. I agree with Josh, that this is going to be a different type of cycle. And I think it's what's his name, Dan Held. He he says he thinks it's going to be, I can't remember the exact terminology he uses, but some type of overextended bull run. Um, I'm not buying into that, just to be honest. I think we're going to see a similar bear market in 2022, 2023, in that range. But it's just exciting because just average people that aren't crazy like us are realizing that this is the only plan B that they really have. It's the only safety hatch that's real that they can go to. And there's more and more people realizing that every day.
And when you say they, Ryan, if we just maybe take another minute or so to expand on that, are you talking about like the Federal Reserve because the escape hatch is for escaping their monetary policy and the inflation loop, or what are you describing Bitcoin as being a plan B for?
Yeah, like if you think about just monetary policy in general, if you think about, the U.S. dollar is reaching a similar point that we saw, for example, the German mark reach in the teens and the early 20s, right before we saw hyperinflation. So the U.S. dollar is 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 one of the longest lasting world currencies. Really, the whole world, the fiat currencies are built off the U.S. dollar. It's one of the longest lasting in history. And if you just look around and, like, for us guys, us young guys, you don't know anything different. But if you study history at all, you realize, like, oh, what we're seeing right now, it's exactly what's happened for all of history when you create a government sponsored fiat currency like this, except for, in my opinion, and I don't have all the numbers in front of me to prove this, but in my opinion, what we're seeing right now is different than any time in history. I think the amount of debt that's being created, and the number of dollars being created, and compare that to anything in history, I would I would find it hard to believe. They're passing the 1.9 trillion dollar stimulus, and it's becoming commonplace. And my wife was telling me that there's some language about potentially, basically having a stipend just for being alive. This is way different than anything that we faced. Even a guy that's 33, way different than anything I've ever experienced in my life. And I think more people are seeing that, realizing that, and being like, whoa, like, what do I do with this? I'm not going to go buy a bunch of gold and melt it down into pieces so that I can, escape, fiat currency. That's not happening.
Right.
What am I going to do that has any backing at all that other people are supporting? I don't know anything other than Bitcoin when it comes to
Sure.
real money.
You're trying to
So,
freeze your value in time and be able to use that someday.
right, right.
Yeah, I'm wondering though, an investment thesis? And I should probably do more due diligence of my own. I'm just kind of asking the question: is there an investment thesis for Bitcoin if you don't believe that there's going to be hyperinflation? Let's say, for example, that Jerome Powell is right, and velocity of money is still remains slow due to deflationary pressures from technology growth and other things, and we don't end up seeing the rapid inflation that we're sort of talking about here. Is there still an avenue, or is there still an investment thesis, I should say, behind Bitcoin? Is there a reason why you'd want to own Bitcoin even if you don't buy into like the hyperinflation story over the next, call it 5 to 10 years?
Yeah.
I say
Josh, do you have
yeah.
thoughts on that?
I say yeah. You buy it either way. I just look at
Why is
I
that?
just look. Well, hyperinflation is it's the effect of monetary policy on prices, right? Inflation.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like
So
devaluing it's making it so that you have less buying power
right.
Right.
So
for your dollar.
just saying it like that, I don't really care if there's inflation or not. I'm just looking at what's the purchasing power, and
Yep.
how many dollars are being printed. It's not just the US dollar that's being printed. There's euros being printed, there's yen being printed, there's the wands being printed. They're all printing. Canada's printing, I think they're printing faster than we are.
Right.
So if you look at everybody, they're all printing. And whether or not hyperinflation comes in the CPI or other real metrics,
Uh-huh.
like the price of your iPhone or the price of your gas or your
House.
water, house, to me it's you just look at the amount of dollars coming in and how many bitcoins are being supplied. it's
Right. And
it's
I
it's just
and I
obvious.
and yeah, and I think we can also just point to a hard data point, um that inflation isn't a maybe. it's not a maybe. It's a guarantee. If you look over the history of fiat currency, inflation, if you look at a long-term trend, inflation is a certainty over the long term. The question that I was posing was more around, is there going to be hyperinflation? And in the absence of hyperinflation, is it still worthwhile owning Bitcoin? And I agree.
Yeah.
I think the answer is still yes, because we know that inflation is a certainty. And then if you look beyond just the inflation standpoint, um, when I think about Bitcoin versus gold, Bitcoin is an advanced version of gold. It's
Right.
the stock to
Right.
flow. They say stock to flow. The supply cap limit. That's a clear advantage Bitcoin. The fungibility of it, clear advantage Bitcoin. The transmittability of it, clear advantage Bitcoin. So when I just set aside the hyperinflation, because I think a lot of times when people talk about Bitcoin, and people listen to this stuff, they hear, oh, crazy doomsday preppers, hyperinflation. These guys think that a gallon of milk is going to go to $20, $30. I don't believe that, so I'm not into Bitcoin. Well, I don't know if that's necessarily the story that we have to tell people in order to get them excited about Bitcoin. I think the data shows that inflation is a certainty. Hyperinflation's not. That's debatable. But then if you look aside from that and you just look at the properties of Bitcoin relative to gold, it's hard for me to understand why Bitcoin can't assume the same market cap as gold, like just be
Right.
like a better version of gold. And if
Right.
that's all you do, if that's all you do is you just kind of look at it just from a principles standpoint, like what are the fundamental principles of Bitcoin? There's a 10x difference between today, the market cap of Bitcoin is right around $1 trillion. Gold is around 10 trillion. That's a 10x difference. Do you believe that 10x difference should exist? I think the answer is definitely no, and therefore I'm long Bitcoin. So like I think just as we're kind of having these conversations about Bitcoin, hyperinflation is scary for sure, but there's reasons to be long even if you don't believe in like this crazy inflation story. And I think that's
Yeah.
important to call out.
Yep. That's a really good point, Nick. And I think the other part is, do you like freedom? Do you like to own your own stuff? Do you like,
Totally.
and that's not for everyone, but a lot of us, we just like the idea of it's owned by the people. And it's kind of hard to say that with gold. I mean, unless unless you're able to, like I said earlier, like melt down your blocks of gold and turn it into, you know turn it into coins or whatever. I mean, there's so much limitations that we have to be able to own our
Right.
own money with anything else other than Bitcoin. And I think that's the other
like
thing that's
like how do you
really cool.
how do you send gold to somebody? Like let's say that there's somebody in Chile, right?
Yeah.
That you want to do some transfer with. How do you send gold to Chile? I honestly don't
Right.
know, but I would imagine that there would be probably like, I don't know, probably not immigration, um shipping
Yeah.
things, like all sorts of
Yeah.
issues that you're going to run into. Bitcoin, it's all through the internet, it's peer to peer, it's instantaneous, it's a better version of gold.
Right.
So I'm excited. I'm excited about the future.
Yep. And
This
and
will
if
be
somebody and if somebody's listening to this, like, I think if you're looking at Bitcoin and you don't care about anything that we just said, and if you only care about making more money, there's a really interesting risk return proposition here over the next 2 to 3 months, that if history repeats itself, we could see Bitcoin doubling in price over the next 2 to 3 months. And so it just has everything working for it. I buy Bitcoin today for the same reason that I bought it 2 years ago, for $7,000, or last year. Actually, it's almost exactly a year from when I bought Bitcoin for $4,000, which is insane because now it's, I think, 51,000 right now. So it's just it's the opportunity of a lifetime, right?
for sure.
So
Even at these prices?
I think
I think
so.
so. I think
Me
so.
too. We need
Kind of
someone
for
to say
those
no.
kind of for those same reasons, right? It's just
Yep.
so the market cap of it is still just so small.
So someone was saying the greatest wealth creator is real estate. Prove me wrong. Do we want to indulge that? Kind of maybe break that apart.
I,
What do you guys think about real estate versus
so
owning Bitcoin?
so I think you, I know who this is. Uh, I definitely want to talk about it because I know Ryan, you and I both are real estate investors as well. So, and Josh, I know that you're interested in getting into real estate too. Um, so I don't know. I can kind of speak my piece first, and I'm curious what you guys think, and your comments as well. I think that like when you say real estate is the greatest investment vehicle of all time, um, I wonder, we could probably have a debate, an hour-long debate just around like when you say greatest, like what is that? What do you mean by that? Um, if you mean through consistent investment, do I think that real estate is probably the best means of guaranteed wealth over time? Yeah, I would say yes. I even like it more than Bitcoin because not right now, because I think the upside for Bitcoin is way higher. But in the long run, once Bitcoin stabilizes in price, yeah, for sure, definitely real estate because real estate real estate is advantaged for all the same reasons that Bitcoin is. We see inflation, housing prices go up, right? Uh, the supply situation is limited. There's a limited number of places in San Francisco where I'm at that people can live. So that has stored value in it, right? Um, and then the third thing, which I think is probably the most meaningful difference between the two, real estate is actually producing something, right? The tenants who can live in your property, they are producing work and earning a return, and they're paying you in rent. And so, like, if you ask me, what do I think is the most consistent means for an investment or in the long run, where I can almost guarantee that I'm going to become wealthy, I would say real estate. But if I look outside of real estate at other investment options, I think there's more returns outside of certain types of real estate. Maybe you find like a great deal, but right now, today, where we stand with other things, I think you can earn higher returns. But in terms of like low risk, guaranteed results, I think real estate's probably the best means to go about doing that.
It's a pretty good place to be invested if we see the inflation that we're expecting to see. In my opinion, I'll just keep this short from my perspective. When you have a multiplier effect if you're a real estate investor. So one, let's go back to Bitcoin just for a second because I think people listening to this like Bitcoin. Bitcoin is really property, right? You own those Bitcoin the same way you own property. Property is scarce. You can't easily add a lot more land to San Francisco. Um, Own things that are scarce. Fiat currency isn't scarce. Um, so to me, real estate is scarce. You have, over an extended period of time, you see values going up. Now's a good time to get a low interest rate loan if that's what you're doing. If you're not paying cash, which I think makes sense to probably not pay cash if you can manage the payments. Um, Not financial advice, but my opinion. Um, but then you have that multiplier effect of renters. Now, you have an asset that's appreciating over time, that's appreciated over time for years and years at a very low interest rate, and now you have the multiplier effect of renters and that income. So yeah, I like it.
We like real estate. Josh,
Yeah.
real quick, are you
We're-
drinking out of a measuring cup, dude?
yeah.
Can I see you drinking out of a freaking
That's my
measuring
cup,
cup, man?
man.
Hold that thing up, dude. Let me see that. There we go. We're breaking a cake tonight, boys.
That's awesome.
So I'm with you guys. Real estate is good, and Bitcoin's good. They're both scarce. But Bitcoin does generate cash flows now, just like real estate. And you don't have to leave your house. You don't need to constantly update it. You don't have to do really too much thinking. You just dollar cost average and set it and forget it. Now with homes, you can get a manager management company to deal with the rent and all that stuff. But every now and then you got this thing called a capital investment or a capital improvement to your house. The house falls apart, needs new paint, needs new trim, new cupboards, all that stuff. It costs money and it's work, and it's messy too. It's really messy. The construction industry is notorious for being bad on the environment. There's a lot of garbage, there's tarp, there's traveling back and forth. And I would even say I haven't done all the research here, but because of the way Bitcoiners are minded, I would say they're greener than the builders. Bitcoiners are looking for new, cheap energy and green energy to make use of their mining because they want to get their electricity fees down. So they're in the constant search for almost free to getting paid for their energy inputs, kind of
So,
like
but
the
Josh,
venting, like the second use of the gas vents and um, the decomposition, anaerobic decomposition. All these are like new ways of finding energy, and this is stuff that like it's gonna be wasted if no one's going in there and leveraging the energy.
so I think this is such an interesting kind of conversation because really it's a conversation of capital allocation, right? We have a finite number of resources, and I think what we're all trying to do, more so than just like worship Bitcoin and like worship Satoshi as like our Lord and Savior, is build wealth, right, for ourselves, but also our families. And so, like Josh, I think everything that you said is definitely interesting. But the question was, I
Well,
if I believe that real estate is the best means to create wealth over time, prove me wrong. How would you kind of think about responding to that from a capital allocation standpoint?
I mean, they're both good. Um, for me, like if they're both gonna make about the same amount of wealth, which they might, because you can leverage with either one these days, you can get a 3% down mortgage and you can leverage with Bitcoin if you want. That is a little more risky in my opinion. Um, at this point, I think you're going to build wealth faster in the short term with Bitcoin. It's just my opinion. Um, I don't know. There's different kinds of wealth too, man. Like useful stuff. Like some of the stuff, people are doing with their houses is kind of silly.
You also have to ask, where are we at in the cycle? So Nick, you shared last week, you feel like we're about ready to take another leg up. And Josh and I are both, I think, skeptical. If I remember our conversation right, Josh.
I
Uh,
was I was thinking sideways for sure.
well, I'm not
For
saying in the short term. I'm saying this like the stock market stuff. I think we were both skeptical. Uh,
oh,
and I think Nick was maybe a little bit more bullish than us with
for,
stock
for short
market
term.
and kind of maybe, yeah, and like the medium long term. Are you pretty bullish with the stock market as well?
I don't know. I
Okay.
would say number is going to keep going up if we keep printing.
Okay. Well, yeah, and that's to me that's a really interesting conversation, and it's honestly, I don't want to rant too much on this, but I think if people realize the reality of what's happening to their wealth right now, with when they release this 1.9 trillion dollars that's getting improved, if they realize that you're receiving $1,400, or um, we were doing the math for our family, I don't know, I think it's over $4,000, somewhere between $4,000 to $5,000 for a family of four. You're receiving this, but what are you giving up? And this is something I think very, very few Americans realize what this stimulus is doing, to drive a wedge, and drive a wedge further separating the income gap between uh, the very wealthy and what used to be the middle class. And if people understood this, man, they would not be celebrating a stimulus. And man, granted, I totally understand there's a lot of people that need this and are just really, really struggling right now. But man, it drives me crazy that what we're doing is, you know, we're giving so many dollars to the super wealthy right now, and they're taking those dollars and doing much smarter things than what us three are talking about. And then you have the people that are not in the positions that us three are in, or us four are in, that they don't have any extra resources to invest. I think the statistic is something like 30% of Americans don't have an extra $400 to cover an emergency, something like that. So, I mean, that's the thing that I don't think it's talked about enough, something like this stimulus. So yeah, like keep printing money. Yeah, like I personally become a little bit more bullish when they print more money, because we've seen what happened. The last two times
People
that
spending.
yeah, and they put it in the stock market. We see that, and companies, they're getting this free cash and they're redeploying it, and so we see what happens, so we can take advantage of it. But I don't know. I don't want to be a downer, but man, it just, there's a lot of people out there that they're not getting the benefit. And really all that's happening is they're driving a smaller and smaller piece of the American value pie. And then the people at the top, they're getting all these free dollars. They're redeploying them. They're redeploying those dollars, and they're getting wealthier and wealthier and wealthier and wealthier. And so what we have now is it's driving out small businesses. It's making it impossible for you to compete with some of these huge companies if you're a small business. And this is where we're going. And I, this is always going to be my answer. Bitcoin fixes that. So we've talked enough about Bitcoin, but I don't think people realize that. Do you guys think people realize what I just described of how that actually affects
Yeah.
people?
At least
No,
folks
no,
in
definitely
my
not.
Twitter circle, they see the numbers floating around how much it's actually costing us. It was like 5,000. This stimulus check is going to cost us in taxes. We're only going to
I see.
400, but it's going to cost us 5,000 because of it's distributed. I don't even know exactly where they're putting all this money, but most of it wasn't going to the individual.
Yeah,
So we've
it's
talked
insane.
about obviously Bitcoin and what we talked about last week. I know, Josh, you've got a hockey game to run to in 20 minutes or so. I do want to make sure that we talk
Oh,
about
30 minutes.
at least at some point. I want to talk about market predictions for this upcoming week. But we don't need to jump into that right away. Ryan, I know that you've got some data
Yeah,
that you want to
Before
talk
we
to
do
us
that,
about, but yeah.
can we do a Doge shout out? Where you guys think Doge is going?
let's
I
do
know
it.
Matt wants to hear the
Let's
Doge.
do it.
Oh my God.
Let's
Dude,
do
Doge
it.
is going to zero, Matt. Zero. Sell Doge. How about that, dude? That's my price
So
prediction for Dogecoin, dude.
I
Get
I've
the heck
always
out.
been anti-Doge, and I actually just bought some Doge at 4.8 cents
Oh my gosh,
recently.
dude. Come on, man.
I can't
Man,
call it Doge. I can't call it Doge. I call it Dogcoin, man, because that's what it is to me, at
Dogcoin,
least.
dude, it's so fun though. It's so silly. It's so fun. And
How
Elon
much did
had
you
this
buy,
quote.
Josh?
Uh,
$100 or so, or what? How much?
we'll just say I'll give you a percentage. Less than 0.5%. I would probably less than that.
Okay,
Yeah,
sure.
less
Okay.
than 0.5% of my portfolio. So I'm
Well,
not like super bullish on it.
Dogcoin actually came in at number 11 on my crypto rankings for the week. And here's the interesting thing about, and I don't know, audience, you let me know if this is something you want to hear about. I'm happy to share this. I just don't know, what the audience wants to hear, but
I'd like to see it. I think
okay,
you should
yeah,
should share
okay,
it.
well, yeah, I'll share. The most valuable information that I have is the market cycle information. And you guys know that I called the top of the market was a week and a half ago or so. People that are listening to this, we called on Thursday. It was 47,000. Bitcoin was 47,000. We said it was going to run up till Sunday to 51,000, and I also called that it was going to run to 55,000 by Friday. We got the first call. It did exactly what we predicted, and I'll tell you what, if the audience wants to hold us accountable, I think by this Thursday, we'll be on Thursday night, 9 o'clock. I think we'll see 55,000 for Bitcoin
I can
by
get behind
Thursday.
that. I can get behind
So
that 100%. I'm
I
totally
think
there.
we're
I like
going
that.
there. This is the week in the cycle, at least the way my data looks. This is the week that we see Bitcoin. I think we're going to have well, I guess we probably already had the close. We had a nice close. Eric, I don't know if you have any of the data in front of you, but you can fill it in if you do. But we had a nice close. I think it's going to lead, and this is actually, if anybody rewinds back to Thursday, this is exactly what we predicted. I think that's going to be rocket fuel going into Monday. I think we're going to see it. I think we're going to see Bitcoin move on up a little bit here. Like I said, by Thursday, I think we'll see 55,000. The interesting thing about the way these cycles work, Ethereum, we also predicted Ethereum. We'd see that run a little bit, which we have. Ethereum is always leading things this week, and for some reason I don't understand it. Dogcoin does as well. I don't know why. So I'm holding some Dogcoin this week. It's number 11 on my ranking. Yep. It's number 11 on my
All
rankings
right.
here, and if you don't like it, you must,
loves those.
Too bad.
to me, yeah, to me it's about just making more
Doge
Bitcoin.
is up, by the way.
Yep.
There we go.
Yeah, I don't.
Can we get a?
I can't hate on it, dude. It's fun. It's a fun thing. I have to admit.
Do we have your sheet, Ryan?
I don't think I shared. I shared
we
a
sharing it?
picture. Yeah, I can. Should I share my screen, or do I need to get to you, Eric?
Let's flash it. Let's flash it, Ryan.
Share my
You
screen.
can share it
Yeah.
on your screen, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
All right,
I think,
I'll do that. I'll do that.
let's
If
just,
you're comfortable.
because we've
Yeah,
got
no,
some
no problem.
sophisticated, folks on the panel here. Ryan has a interesting model that he's got going on. So let's see it. Let's check it out.
You guys can see this.
Yep.
All right. So for those of you watching, what I do is I follow the money. So I don't care. I don't care about the project details unless there's something related, some external stuff like SEC's, trying to take it down or something like that. For the longest time, I didn't buy Dogcoin because I hated the idea of it. But eventually, I had to say, you know what? I hate the idea of a lot of the altcoins I buy. The point is to try to make more Bitcoin. And what I've learned, I've been studying the markets for going on 4 years, but I've been doing deep dive studies, daily studies for about a year now, and that's what you can see right now on the screen. This is exactly what I did this week. I have ADA is my number one. Now we're in the U.S., so I have a lot of other coins I would love to be invested in, but aren't available to the U.S. market. ADA, BNT, BNB. BNB ran for a little bit there. You guys are up on the smart chain stuff. I don't know as much as you guys do, so feel free to fill in there. GRT, NU, REN, EGLD, Bitcoin's in the top 10, which I hold regardless. AAV, Civic, and Dogcoin.
Zill's on there. I own some Zill.
I just sold.
It says sell, dude.
Yeah, I just.
Oh.
I
Really?
just sold.
You got as a sell?
Yeah, I sold. So I'm like, I know I just went through that fast, and because we probably don't have a lot of time to dig into each one, but this is what I'm doing. But this week is
Which one of those are buys?
it's ranked in order. So so the ones
Top
I have
11 you
highlighted
buy?
here, yeah, I bought the top 11 this time. So a lot of them I'm holding, and some of them I sold Zill, I sold LRC.
So Ryan, when it says hold versus buy, so is that hold for you because you already own some?
That's right.
How would I interpret
Yeah.
this if I didn't own any?
Yeah, so
That would be
everything
a
it's a
buy,
hold,
right?
everything's a hold and a buy. Yeah, and of course, we're not giving any financial advice, so do your own research. This is a nice list for you to do your own research on. So but what I do think is interesting is the information I've learned about the market. A lot of people try to scoop up the bottom, buy that, and then sell the top, right? So man, that that coin is way down. That seems like a great time to buy. All the data that I have, it's the opposite. When something gets energy, gets momentum in Bitcoin, it keeps running. That's just how it works. My expectation for this week is that the altcoins will struggle this week. That we'll continue to see some blood early in the week as hopefully Bitcoin's running a little bit. I think we'll see coins leaders like Ethereum and Dogcoin start the middle of the week, and I think by next weekend we'll start to see another alt run.
And these
If you, yep,
and Ryan, these are all well, some of them are long-term holds for you, but others these are more short-term plays. What like underlying data points, and I'm not sure if you're going to kind of go there with us, but what are some of like the underlying data points that you're using to kind of pull this list
yeah,
together and to inform your decisions?
yeah. So I use technical indicators. Um, it's it's kind of it's hard to get into really briefly, Nick. I don't mind sharing any of the information. It's just hard to get into briefly. But every single day, I do a scoring sheet with 100 and 190 cryptocurrencies, and I look at things like volume, market cap, rating, RSI, stock stock ratings, um, average directional index, just a bunch of different indicators, exponential moving average, simple moving average,
Cool.
um, percentages, and all these things are predicting where the market's going to be going. And so I do that every single day for all these coins, and basically looking at where things are at in the market. And I use that information to basically do some swing trading, like you said, and also do some holding. Um,
So, and
in
without
Yep.
like necessarily, you know, going into too much detail, how is this thing? First of all, how long have you been working on this? Are you working like what are the components of this, or is it just you at this point just kind of filling out that Excel spreadsheet? And then like to the extent that you're willing to share, like what have some of the returns, I guess, been for kind of following this data driven approach?
Yeah, yep, that's a really good question. So, um, if you were to, for example, and I don't want this to sound like a infomercial here because I'm not selling anything, but if you were to, for example, let me get something here in front of me. If you were to say, you know what, I'm only going to buy Ryan's top 5 cryptocurrencies every single day, um, and I'm going to buy them when the score says I should buy them. Over the last year, so I started in February of last year. I've averaged a daily profit of 0.97%, so almost 1% daily profit. Which, if you compound 1% over the course of a year, it's really huge increases. So it's an algorithmic type of approach because for those listening, I think what's interesting maybe to the conversation is if you're getting into this and you were like me back in 2017, you get into a group of other like-minded people that are interested in cryptocurrency, and you're hearing projects just flying all over the place. Oh yeah, pancake
Hard to keep
swap,
up.
and now we're talking about cakes, and we're talking about, yeah, and it's like what you figure out, like if you do this long enough, what you'll figure out is you're just buying other people's bags because they bought something. It might have been a mistake. It might not have been a mistake. And because you talk to them, you end up buying their bag. And that's just a reality. And so what I decided was I'm going to cut through all the BS and I'm just going to follow the money. I'm going to follow the money and say, like, where are people actually investing? And so I've been tracking that for about the
So
last year, and that's how I buy.
so Ryan, like what if I were to say like, okay, well, so like if that, I mean that Ryan, that sounds like kind of more of a cynical approach, right? Like you just are kind of end up buying
It's
people's bags.
agnostic to the tokens, to the alts.
Well, right. So my question is going to be, what if I asked you, like, okay, why don't you just focus on more high conviction plays if you're not a believer in like any of the individual projects because they're too, you know, all these different factors, right?
It's about the money.
Why not just invest in either Bitcoin or like if you like stocks, like I know we haven't talked about your stock investment strategy, but you know, I'm sure that you've got some high conviction plays there as well. So like why even dabble with this whole alt thing and like use this algorithm and whatnot?
The same reason why I don't eat broccoli, for every meal, because sometimes, I don't do what everyone knows is right. So what I do is I do what gives me the money, like what Josh is saying there. And maybe the broccoli thing isn't a good example, but like, yeah, you can do whatever, you can look at it and you say, man, that Tesla stock looks really, really appealing. Uh, Sorry, Nick, my top 10 doesn't have Tesla in it. I can show you where Tesla is on my ranking, but it's not in the top 10. And I love Tesla, but here's what I thought. Okay. And once again, this is stocks and this is crypto, and I have the data now to prove that it's more profitable. At the end of the day, it's me taking my dollars and saying, how do I maximize the return of my dollars
Yep.
while limiting the energy that I have to spend. And so one of the ways that you limit the energy you have to spend is by holding. So like I personally don't trade Bitcoin at all. And the reason why is because the few times I have traded it, I couldn't sleep at night. I was up all night, man, checking the price every couple hours. If I held, a bunch of, for example, Tesla, I love Tesla. If I held that and I was relying a lot on that, I would be checking the price all the time. If I just take the emotion out of it, this is just me, right? If I just take the emotion out of it and I take a data driven approach, then I can put a portion of my money into something that I'm emotionally tied to, like Bitcoin or Tesla, and say I'm going to buy this and hold this long term. But then I can take my dollars that their only purpose is to make more dollars or to make more Bitcoin, and I can deploy those at whatever makes me the most dollars or Bitcoin, and that's how I look at it. So there's less emotion. Does that make sense?
I like it.
Totally.
I like it because it's really about, return on your capital. You want to quit your job sooner and and pursue your passions. I mean, we all have our reasons why we want to make the money, but the money, we just want to make it, right?
Yeah.
Let's be real here. So and I like it, man. There's more than one way to make some money. And my question with that approach is, and I've traded for, I mean, I quit trading mostly, but I've traded off and on for about a decade, and I'm horrible at it. And the years I did well, I ended up paying in fees and taxes. So I'm wondering, you said profit. Now, is that after tax? Because the short-term capital gains eats up a lot more than the long-term capital gains.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Um, and to be honest with you, I don't have the numbers in front of me that say if I would have done this and I would have held, you know, longer term and not taken profits and comparing that side by side, because what that is assuming, if you can do that, what you are assuming is you're assuming similar returns. And what my data is showing me is that the returns are not similar.
Right.
Um, and you know, I can give you an example, and I should have came prepared with kind of the shocking numbers that would really stick out, but I didn't. So I'll just give you a quick example. I'm looking at one of my stock strategies, and this is uh, an uh, uh, algorithm that is automated. It's an automated strategy, and this one that I'm looking at right now, my highest returning algorithm strategy, is in the last 6 months is up 341%. Um,
Pretty
and
good.
yeah, I don't know how many stocks are up 341% over the last 6 months. There's probably a lot of them, but I don't know how
A
many.
few alts.
Well, no, this
Bitcoin
is
is.
stocks. This is
Oh,
stocks.
stocks.
Yeah, this is
Tesla is,
stocks.
isn't it, Nick?
Over how long of a period?
6
This
months.
is about 6 months. Yeah, since October.
Yeah, something like that, close to that. I mean, we've retraced, you know.
Yeah. So
So
it's hard for me to say for sure though,
yeah.
Josh, if which one, what the
So me
return is
me
there.
me with my like, OCD and like getting all the nitty gritty details. I mean, I'm not gonna sleep either way. I'm a night owl, so I would be like perusing through it and just figuring out like, oh, what are my taxes gonna be, and is
Yeah,
this really better than just buying and holding? And I've done like, some not like professional data crunching or anything, but just ran the numbers over the past decade. And me personally, like I sleep better with a buy and hold, and like putting in weeks, months, years into investments and just really thinking it through. Just like, is this where I should put my money? Because when I put it there, I'm gonna keep it there for a while. I'm gonna stake it. I'm gonna earn interest. I'm not gonna touch it. and
Yeah.
and that's why I chose my investments. Like I plan on holding them for a long period of time and eventually build them up to a point where you know I can live off either the interest, borrow against them, but still never sell them because I believe they're actually going to hold value in the long term. And I've seen what Bitcoin has done, and trying to time Bitcoin is tough. I've
Yeah.
done a couple trades with Bitcoin too, and I'm down because of it. If I would have just bought and hold, I'd be killing it. I'd be absolutely killing it. But I tried to trade it, I tried to time, and bit
Yep.
me in the butt. So what works for some folks, doesn't work for others, and
yeah, and
vice versa.
totally. And I think a good example of that is like, um, and we're not at financial advisors, so I think that's just like the main point there. Um, there's this concept called dollar cost averaging, right? Where let's say you really like a company or Bitcoin, and it's just keep investing little by little, consistently through time, and that way you're kind of investing in the downs, investing in the ups. For me, I don't really, I don't know if I have the patience for that. So I'm notorious for just like if I'm like bought into something, I just go in like and going kind of hard. I'll add to those positions over time, but I go in hard, and sometimes that bites me in the ass. But other times, like with Bitcoin, I bought Bitcoin around like 28,000, 30,000, and then I kept buying through like the 30s. I think my cost average right now is about 35. But I went heavy. I went heavy once I was sold on the narrative, and that benefited me. But hindsight's 2020, so like always, do what works for you. But I think the point is, like Ryan, you sleep better with that strategy. Josh, you're talking about sleeping better with your strategy. I like to buy heavy, and like you said, Josh, I like to kind of just hold, on the investment theses that I really believe in long term.
Especially now that we can stake. If you really believe in in a protocol or one of these altcoins that you think could really just stay here for the long term, if you're going to hold, why not stake and provide liquidity and funds for the operations of the designers and the future of that ecosystem? So
Yeah.
that's like a double win for me. Like all parties are winning, and you're not
Yeah.
just you get rewarded, I think, when you stick with things long term that actually have a long term value, like Bitcoin.
Well, let me talk about that just a little bit because I've actually done both of those this past year because I used the past 13 months right before COVID started last year. I decided that I was going to do a really deep study, and 13 months later, I'm still doing a daily analysis of both the stock market and crypto market. And so I basically what I wanted to do is I wanted to have the data to make the decisions that we're talking about right now. And so I did both. So just to be clear, I probably have about 10% of my investments are in a day trading strategy. Now, there's a good reason for that. So I have, like I said, 90% is holding long term, 10% is day trading. Now, some of this is due to pain. Okay, so in 2017, I did what you guys are describing. I bought bags of altcoins and I sat on them, and I made a lot of money, and then I watched all that money dwindle away over the next year or two, because
That's scary.
when when you get married to to any type of investment, and you get in this overwhelmed, I can't believe this has to work forever. I might as well quit my job and do this full time because I'm just a genius.
Right.
It's really hard to sell when you're married to something, and it's like that, and you think you can't stop. And so
Ryan, do you mind if I
yeah,
ask you? Do you
yeah.
mind if I ask you like which project or projects, maybe plural, you got married to back then, and that where that pain came from?
Yeah, I mean, the pain was from losing all the money all the gains that I had, but I mean, I had probably 20 projects. I'm looking at my other computer right now. It still has a master node with 86 million coins of something on it. Literally the computer right next to me that I bought in 2017. So
They
what
worth anything?
Yeah, there were something, not a lot. It's a coin called Rapids coin, RPD. You can look it up if you want. I got about 86 million of them if you want any. But anyways,
It's like
yeah,
Doge, dude.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and let me get through this real quick because I know Josh has to run, but I just want to, because I think this is going to wrap up what we're talking about. When you get married to an investment, you get emotional, and it's hard to look around and realize where you're at, and take the profits. It's like a couple weeks ago when I suggested that we take the profits on ADA. I took, my investment was up 200%, and I took profits. And over the past 2 weeks, my investment is down 100% or something like that. And so, like, when you have the data and you're not married to this stuff, you take the profits, and now I have more Bitcoin as a result. The same thing with the stock market. My goal with the stock market was to say, I have X amount of dollars. Can I take these X amount of dollars, and can I make a living off of these? And so I take out of the profits, I take taxes out, um, you know, every week. I take the taxes out and I put it into a separate account so I can pay them. Actually, put them into a BlockFi account that's earning Bitcoin interest on
There you
top of
go.
it. And we're getting to a point where I took this relatively small amount of money and day trading, and my wife actually day trades it for me and basically can basically live off that. So it's just, I guess the point is like, I would just suggest to everyone listening, like, do what's right for you. That's what you guys are saying. But if you have a dream and you're like, my personal dream is financial freedom. I would like to choose to, if I want to work, that's great. If I don't want to work, if I want to do something else, whatever, that's fine too. That's my personal dream. And so I'm doing the thing that makes sense to me to make that happen.
Same, by the way. Yeah, I think I couldn't have said it better myself. Like, if I want to go to the beach, go to the beach. If I want to wake up at 6:30 in the morning and study, a DeFi project, then that's what I'll do. You know what I mean? Obviously, you know what I mean. But yeah, that financial freedom, that's definitely
It's
that's the
nice.
that's the goal.
So
Well,
I was gonna
yeah.
clear up one thing about my alts, just so I don't get any viewers or you guys confused either. I haven't bought any alts since towards the beginning of this cycle. Um, I did actually get Zill at 6 cents. So that one I did go later, but I got Zcash back in December. Um, so these ones I wouldn't buy. And actually, I wouldn't buy any more Zill up here. I wouldn't buy Zcash up here. I don't. I wouldn't buy. I'm really not looking at any alts. Like I think it's personally. I think I'm with you, Ryan. I didn't live through the pain, but I've heard people talk about it, and you can go back and look at it. Most of them go to shit, and there's a chance I could be wrong. So I'm not gonna keep buying all the way up. I will keep buying Bitcoin though, but
Yep.
as far as the alts, I'm definitely not buying any up
I
here
I
to
have
hold
a
long term.
a small chunk of cash that is currently in Solana, which I think is a very interesting project. Um, if anybody is listening to this and wants to kind of look into it a little bit, the project's goal is to basically bring blockchain to the masses through faster transaction speeds. So one of the things that people hate on Ethereum for is like these high gas fees. Part of the reason why that's happening is because the network can only process a certain number of transactions per second, and that's why the fees are so high. With Solana, the transaction speeds are like 1,000 times faster. And there are certain companies that are partnering with Solana that aren't partnering with other projects and other coins, DeFi projects. Um, but I am thinking about that hard because there's other places. Again, it goes for me. It goes
That are
back to
safer.
it
Cause
goes
it,
back
cause,
to capital allocation. Yeah.
cause
Yep.
you're right. I'm with Nick on this. I totally agree. I really like Solana, but I could not buy it here. I want to wait till the shakeout comes in 2022 and then buy Solana. Because right
Right.
now it's already up 600, 700%. I couldn't touch it.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I'm just looking at it compared to even just the stock market because I'm totally agnostic to crypto or stocks or real estate. Like for me, I try not to have any emotional attachment. It's more like where do I think my return will be optimized. Um, but I look at things from a risk reward standpoint, and like while I love the project, uh, I know that I could be earning like a bunch of passive income if I put that in Mirror, right? In the Mirror protocol on Terra, I could earn, I don't know, $10, $15 per day just in like basically like Microsoft, right? Or um, like just basically holding. We haven't talked about Mirror, so this is kind
We
of out of
really need a
context, but
breakdown down. I've been itching. I know Nick and I, we've broke this
yeah,
down off camera, and it'd be nice if we can kind of simplify because we're still trying to figure out
yeah.
how to explain it,
So
why
so
Can
it's
we
this
do
is
that
special.
Tuesday?
yeah,
You guys
I
want to
think
do?
this is a
Yeah.
good. Yeah, but
Yeah, that'd be
let me just
cool.
give this. Let me just give this teaser, right? So I'm of the belief, and I'm trying to kind of sift through this because some of this is heavy, man, and it's complicated, but there's a lot of like potential rewards to be had if you can actually understand it. I'm of the belief that we're actually heading into um, a technological shift that might actually uh, lead to advanced investment strategies. And by advanced, I mean objectively better than what you have access to right now. Like if you compared something apples to apples, the future is objectively better from a return standpoint than what we're currently working with in the past. And I think Mirror, we can definitely expand on this on Tuesday. Mirror is like a linchpin part of that story. Like whether it's Mirror right now and in the future it's something on Ethereum is sort of to be determined. But this concept of like providing liquidity for an underlying asset and then earning rewards for providing liquidity, that extra element, we can go way deeper on this, is not something that like everyday investors have access to, but makes a huge difference with returns. And I think it could be completely a game changer. And this is not investing in like a sketchy altcoin. Um, this is not doing what we're talking about and buying alts and hoping for like, an alt to go to the moon. This is totally different than that. Um, very, very excited to share more about Mirror. I think it's super interesting.
Me too, man. It's
Sweet. Look, I'm looking forward to
can we
hearing about
close
it.
out with the Doge Price prediction.
Let's do price predictions. Let's do like a hot take for the week, dude,
Okay.
or price prediction, whatever you want to do, however you want to end it off.
Hey guys, and I didn't share my top 10. You want me to share my top 10 before we close out too? My stock top 10.
Hell yeah, dude.
Oh
Hell
yeah.
Okay.
Dude, if
And
Tesla's
how
not
long?
on there, Ryan, I can't, dude.
How,
I can't unsubscribe.
how long will these stay top 10 for? Is this just today? Could change tomorrow.
Yeah. The data changes everything, but yeah, it'll probably I'll only do the top 10 like once a week. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see it.
You guys want to hear the top 10? All right. All right. You guys can see this?
Matt wants the Doge
Plug
price
power,
prediction.
dude.
That's number 1.
Plug Power is number 10. So you know it's going to be good. Plug Power.
Are you
guys
still in there, Nick?
Hydrogen fuel cell company that makes hydrogen fuel cells for mostly forklifts for Amazon warehouses, Home Depot warehouses, Walmart warehouses. Entered into an agreement with a French automobile manufacturer and a South Korean, maybe the South Korean government, I want to say. I'm not sure. A lot of potential on this stock, but honestly, for me, they've yet to prove that green hydrogen is actually like efficient to produce. And so as soon as people realize that the gray hydrogen that they're actually selling is actually not green, technically, it's not environmentally friendly, I think the floor falls out of this story. This stock goes lower, but in the short term, we could see, more pump from this surge of kind of like green investments and the stimulus checks, etc.
Well,
That's what I think about this one.
that was an awesome analysis, Nick. Holy cow. Good stuff. Flugena Genetics is number 9.
What's this about? What's this company?
These
Dude,
guys,
tell me.
these guys, well, you guys got to remember, all I do is look at the data. These guys are into the biotech space. Let's see.
So really, that doesn't matter at all for you to make some money.
Nope.
Like
all
really,
I do is just
you don't even need to know the name of the company. You don't even need to know what they do. You don't need any of
exactly.
that stuff. You listen to your data that you got. You
That's
press
right.
buy. When it says to sell, you press sell.
That's right.
To me,
That's all I do.
that's something special, man. Because some of the best traders, they don't even know. Like the best green lumber traders, they think it's actually painted green. Like they didn't even know it's just straight from the tree. You know what I mean? Like they
All right,
don't care
we've got
about that
number
stuff. If you're a good trader,
Number 9, and I told you guys, averaging 6.16% daily profit on this strategy.
Dang, that's huge. That's
Pacific
crazy.
Biosciences of California, PACB. Biosciences
Another
are hot.
biotech.
Everyone knows
Another
that, man.
biotech. Yeah, I guess this is the Kathy Woods type plays. The
Futu.
biotech.
I've noticed he's
Futu
been aggressive as someone I look
Holdings.
to him.
Yep.
I don't know about this. What is this one?
Up and to the right. Futu Holdings Limited. Futu Holdings Limited. I think it's a marijuana. I think it's a cannabis
okay.
stock.
That's hot.
They're one of the ones that really led that. Yeah. Magnite Inc. MGNI. This guy's made me a lot of money over the last few months. This is another. I believe this is another bio. Yeah. I believe this is another biotech.
The dictatorship.
The what? Wait, what? What
Dude,
the
read
hell?
the Twitch chat, dude. They're calling it a dictatorship.
Wait, why? Why?
Because you're a Doge hater.
Oh dang, dude.
That's
hey,
great.
Man, I'm not hating the grind, dude. You do you guys. You do you.
Here, let's see. We got number 5 here. Clean Energy Fuels, CLNE.
This is another. I want to say
They all look the
hydrogen,
same.
right? This is a hydrogen.
I thought this was solar. This is hydrogen.
I thought it was hydrogen. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's solar.
Yeah, You might be right.
What,
See,
what the
I don't pay attention.
heck?
It's
Dude,
not
you're
necessary
like,
to
I
make
don't know.
money.
Yeah.
Oh, this one's a little different.
AMRS. This is I think this is biotech. Yep, biotech. All these guys.
Curing
Hey,
cancer out here.
I
dude,
do.
you guys know who these guys are, right?
Oh
These
yeah.
I
are
don't
this
know
is
if I
This is
do.
the China Google.
Yep.
Is it? Oh shoot.
Yeah.
Dang. Okay.
This was a surprise for me. Discovery.
Whoa, look at that one.
Yeah,
What?
Straight up.
Discovery has been one of the hottest coins for me. It's actually overall it's one of my best coins. It's not stocks. It's not only most recently, but over time it's my third ranked coin over the long haul.
Stock.
And yeah, sorry, stock. We're flipping back and forth.
Coinage.
Ontario
And
Resources
number one.
Corporation.
Okay.
Stock
That's number one.
symbol AR is number one. This is my number one
Interesting.
stock.
Yahoo
Hey.
seems to like that one. That's got 3 green arrows.
Hey,
That's big.
Right?
Hey, listen, everyone just needs something to look at. Not everyone's like me, just looks at everything. A lot of people are looking at individual stocks. So these are 10 stocks you can take a look at. Do your own research, look at the charts. But over the last few months, these have been really good stocks to day trade. And we'll see if they're going to catch the next wave with this next stimulus.
What's the holding period
yeah,
if I were to
dude.
buy today on one of these? Or tomorrow?
Holding period like for your cash stuff?
Yeah,
To
if I
settle?
buy one of these, how long should I hold it?
Oh, yeah. See, that's why I'm probably I don't know if this segment's going to be good for us to stick with because I day traded because I day traded the ones that I just
They have to
shared.
tell you to.
Personally,
They have to tell you to sell. Your
my
algo does.
my data tells me to buy and sell, but what I'm going to be doing here over the next month or so is I'm going to be buying some of these top performers for me to hold longer period. That's what I'm doing on crypto side. Oh, the last thing I never finished what I was saying earlier about on the crypto side where I did the side by side comparison. For a 3-month period, I did a side by side comparison of holding Bitcoin, holding bags of altcoins, and then I did a third comparison where I was doing day trading with Binance. And granted, I didn't do the exact comparison with, measuring taxes, short-term taxes. I mean, nothing's going to be long-term taxes in crypto anyways. It's all short-term, at least what I'm doing. My my accountant isn't saying that any of this stuff is long-term, is going to be taxed as a long-term holding. So anyways, day trading for me, from the data that I have, basically jumping on a coin as it's running is significantly more profitable than holding a bag. That's what my data has been over the last year. So that's why I do what I do.
We
Dude,
gotta
makes
give
sense.
the Doge. We gotta do the Doge price
Let's
prediction.
do it.
Do it
Let's
up,
do it.
dude. Kick us off, Josh.
I'll bring up a chart here.
I gotta give a plug to my hot take of my hot pick of the it's really of like the month or the next 6 months. But let's do Doge.
You guys see that?
Wow, that stair step.
Yep.
So
That's Elon.
obviously, you want to wait for the big, right? It kind of, and if you go way back too, if you go way, it's not all on here, but there's history of back in 2017, 2018. It does the same shit like this. It's like it's like 1 day or 2 days it goes up and then it just chills. So if I was going to do a price prediction, I would just kind of look at, what did it do on these ones? Just for reference. First time down here, it did a 4.5 up to, well, that's point, right? That's not even a cent.
You're looking at Oh yeah,
You
you're
were
looking
saying
at
it
US
goes
side.
parabolic.
Fellas, can we
56.
look at BTC price, or you guys want to look at a USD price?
Easily 10.
Dude, you
Yeah,
want to put
no,
this
we
in
should totally be doing that,
Satoshis?
but most people who do Doge are probably looking at USD. Just
Okay.
I would think 10 cents, no problem, no problem. It's actually up to kind of does the same thing in Bitcoin terms.
Or
What
we're
do you
going to see
think, Ryan?
or we're going to see a little head and shoulders action there.
Little head and
And
shoulders.
I don't and I don't see that. I don't see that happening. Not. I think we're going to see an alt run here coming up, and I think we're going to see another leg up.
But
So.
earlier, Ryan, you said that we're going to see some blood in the water for alts. So when you say that
Yeah,
we're going to see an alt run, is that like in week 2 and 3 of this upcoming time period, or what do you?
No,
What
yeah,
do you
I
think?
think Dogcoin and Ethereum have historically performed well this coming week. The next 7. Well, I don't think they're going to start until like Wednesday or Thursday,
Okay.
but we're going to be. I think on Tuesday we'll still be red when we do this, and I think by Thursday we'll starting to see some momentum with the altcoins. So
Okay.
it
So
just I'm like I said before, I've never been a dog coin guy. I hold some now because it's crazy and if Elon tweets about it or whatever, but yeah, I've never been a huge fan.
Do
so
you
you
think
guys
we'll
know my
see
take on
10 cents,
No, I think
Ryan?
I think it's either going to go to, 1 cent or it's going to go to like, 20
0?
cents. 20 cents.
okay.
I don't think it's yeah,
Well,
I don't,
if it goes to okay, it's at 5. Did you say 1 cent or $1?
1 cent. Or yeah, I think it's either going to go to 1
Okay,
cent
1 cent.
or
Okay.
like 20 cents. But I don't know, guys. It's hard for me to
So
say.
you
Dogcoin is just
guys,
so manipulated.
you know my take on Dogecoin. I would say you're better off uh you're better off buying anything basically than Dogecoin in the long term. But that's just my take.
Yeah.
But hey,
Ooh.
I can appreciate the the hustle on that. But if you guys would indulge me, I've got a super high conviction play that I've put a lot of capital behind. It's kind of a oddball play. It's a direct play on Bitcoin. Um, Josh has heard me talk about this one before. It's actually a mining company
I do like
out
this
of
one.
Alberta, Canada. Check this one out. Hut 8 Mining. Actually, Ryan, could you do me a favor and look, or whoever's got
I got it.
who has the screen pulled up? Josh,
Hut
could you look up
MF
Hut 8
is the
Mining?
ticker.
Okay.
Here it
So
is.
on Friday, we saw we this stock. So let me actually just start with this. This company has a different business model than the other miners in that they hold all the Bitcoin that they mine. And then they get passive cash flow from loaning that Bitcoin out, but they're sitting on a stockpile of just over 3,000 Bitcoin. They have more Bitcoin than all the rest of the miners, Riot Blockchains and Mara Patent Group. They have more hash power, which means they're mining more Bitcoin as well. But they're trading at under a third of the valuation of those companies. The reason being, one of the main reasons being, this company is an over-the-counter stock currently. It's traded on the Toronto Stock Exchange. Again, this is a Toronto. It's actually out of Alberta, Canada. It hasn't listed on the Nasdaq yet. You can't buy it on Robinhood. The ticker symbol is HUTMF. You can find it on E-Trade though. This company has a cult following, like literally a cult following. The community behind this company is unbelievable. They're completely disrespected right now from a valuation standpoint, and they've got huge tailwinds with like a Nasdaq listing, which is going to happen probably in the very near term future. One other kind of thing from a technical standpoint, they sold off heavy this past week. But then obviously, like over the weekend, we've seen Bitcoin rally. Tomorrow morning, don't be surprised if you look up Hut 8 and it's up 30%. I wouldn't be shocked to see a move of upward movement of probably right around 20 to 30% for Hut 8. And I think actually fair value for this stock right now is right around $20 per share. And so
How
even if we
much?
did see $20 per share, so even if we did see that rally, I think it's still super undervalued. This one, guys, if you're interested in getting invested in Bitcoin, but you want maybe even a more aggressive approach, this company has massive upside potential. And it's just a matter of time before American investors, institutional investors realize that this is a sleeping giant. They're one of the top 10 largest Bitcoin holders in the world. At least that's like publicly visible. And I think this company just has such huge potential in front of it, especially with that community backing that it has. It's just I've never seen a company that's this size that has the type of community that Hut 8 has. So there's even like a hashtag, like a tagline for it, "Hodl the Hut," like hodl Bitcoin, like hodl the Hut, and it's crazy, man. These people are like savage animals over this mining company out of Alberta. So I own. I'm totally comfortable sharing this. I own like 5,600 shares worth, which is like right around $40,000, just a little, maybe just a little over that. If Hut drops tomorrow, I might be adding like another $8,000 to that. Because that's how much of a high conviction play this is. So if you're long Bitcoin, even if you are long Bitcoin and you like owning raw corn, this is an undervalued company that you might benefit from just by investing in it and just playing that arbitrage game where the market isn't valuing it appropriately right now. So that's my hot take for the week.
Yeah, I have some data on that, Nick. I've made some money on Hut 8 the last couple of weeks. For 2 years, it's up 586% for 2 years, 579% for 1 year, 872% in the last 6 months, 446% in the last 3 months, 65% in the last month. It's down 11% in the last week, down 3.85% on Friday, and it's a decent volume, $2 million volume stock, and a little over a $1 billion market cap.
My thing is, I want to start owning smaller companies that I'm like a larger shareholder in, and I believe in what they're doing. And I'm not just like some like tiny investor in Apple. Like I feel like connected to Hut 8. I mean, this is part of the emotional thing, but in this case, I think basically by owning Hut, you're long Bitcoin, which I am long Bitcoin. So I love this company. I love the situation that we're in with. I love that it's under the radar. I love their strategy, just like holding every Bitcoin. I mean, imagine like the company's worth about 800 million right now. I want to say like just under a billion. They have 3,000 Bitcoin. Imagine if all of those Bitcoin were worth like $300,000 or half a million dollars each Bitcoin. That's 1.5 billion. Is that right? Yeah, 1.5 billion in just the Bitcoin, not to mention like all of the Bitcoin that they'll have mined leading up until that point. So this company is just criminally undervalued right now. I think it's a screaming buy. I would recommend checking it out. And I put my money where my mouth is.
Yeah, cool, man. Well, we're losing Josh here. I think he's got to run, and we missed some funny comments from Matt Ravello on the chat. He was saying you're going to put some lotion on that prune skin, Nick, after being in the tub for so long.
Dude, tell me about it. I'm like, my lips are like chapping up from the chemicals like coming off the pool. I was in here when the sun was up, and now it's like getting dark.
Yeah. Well, we're probably gonna have to jump off, but let's see, we're going to be back on Tuesday, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific. Anything else we need to close out on, Nick and Eric?
I mean, just hold on, guys. If you're long, be long and strong. Don't be selling in and out. Don't be paper hander, right? When the FUD is high, this is when you got to dig deep in that courage and hold that thing and don't sell. Don't be a paper hander.
All right.
All right.
Appreciate
Signing
you
off for
guys.
today. Young Money out.
Peace.
Peace.